Bring in Susan Haley. She's a retired Army Master Sergeant who served in Afghanistan and is affected by this. Master Sergeant, thanks so much for joining us. You were an intelligence specialist in the Army. How did you get this bonus that the government is now demanding you give back?
Well, because they wanted me to re-enlist. They needed people to go on various deployments, and I knew that if I re-enlisted, I would deploy. They promised me a bonus because of my specialty and because of the time I was re-enlisting for. So I re-enlisted for 6 years. I was promised a bonus for that, and plus one that they had owed me from 2003 that they had never paid me. So I was expecting all these funds that I was told I was going to get. There was one that I wasn't sure about, and I called Master Sergeant Jaffe, and she said everything was fine, not to worry about it. And now they're asking for it back, and after 24 years of service.
At the time you got the bonus, was there any indication this was improper or questionable in any way?
No, it was not.
And we should note that your husband also served, as did your oldest son, who lost a leg fighting in Afghanistan. How much are they asking for back, and can you afford to pay it back?
Well, they're asking for over $25,000, and that's because they've been charging me interest since 2013, and they were taking it out of my paycheck when I was still in the military, but now that I'm retired, they're asking for $650. That is a quarter of my income.
Wait a second.
$650 a month.
They've been charging you interest?
Yes. And they want me to pay back the taxes that I'm never going to see ever again.
So, as you heard in Drew's report just there, members of Congress are now saying that they're outraged to hear about this. House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy saying in a statement today, quote, "Our military heroes should not shoulder the burden of military recruiters' faults from over a decade ago. They should not owe for what was promised during a difficult time in our country." Unquote. So now the House is investigating these repayments. How long have you been fighting this? And is it comforting or is it kind of frustrating that it took until the Los Angeles Times reported on this and CNN and others started making phone calls that politicians actually now are starting to get aware of this?
Well, it's been very frustrating since 2012 when I was notified about this, and I've tried to get people interested, and finally the LA Times developed an interest in it. And the whole thing has been very frustrating to me, and the amount of debt that has been incurred is devastating to our family. And I'm sure to so many others.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's just devastating to me and so many others in my place, and I hope there's something they can do for all of us.
Well, what do you think Congress should do? Should they just waive the demand for repayment?
I think they should, because it was through no fault of our own that we got these monies that they're saying were in excess. It's not our fault, and we have to rely on the expertise of the people in charge of the recruiting office to give us the proper amount of money. And I was told I didn't keep enough good records. I should have kept better records, is what they said. And I'm asked about California. They lost $100 million. Seriously.
Right. The idea that you need to keep better records. Let me just ask you on a more emotional level. You, your husband, your son, you've put your lives on the line for this nation, going into war zones. Your son lost his leg in Afghanistan. What does it feel like to have the U.S. government say, hey, you owe us $25,000 for bonuses that we should never have given you, and yeah, we're the ones that screwed up, but we want that money back?
It's very devastating. It's sad. It breaks my heart. I feel betrayed that I gave them my time, and now they want my money back. And my family has sacrificed so much, and now we're struggling to pay even our house payments. And we've exhausted our savings account, and we're going to have to do something if this continues much longer.
Master Sergeant Susan Haley, thank you for telling your story, and thank you, your husband, and your son for your service and your sacrifice to this nation.
Well, thank you very much for listening to this this horrible story, and I hope it helps so many other soldiers, not just me. I hope it eases the burden for for many others. Thank you.
Well, we're going to keep on this story, and we're going to stay in touch with you, and we're going to make sure that this is taken